Shalom everyone, y'all here for Hebrew in Israel, coming from my recovery bed here. I'm going to be a little slow because, as you can see, I'm on oxygen. I can hear the oxygen generator in the background. I am recovering. This is going to take some time. I haven't worked in weeks. It might be a week or two until I go back to work normally. So it's a little tough, but, I'd rather recover and rest. So because of my medical condition, I was actually on the phone with my doctor and my regular physician, and she told me that it will take a couple of weeks for me to recover. So unfortunately, this year I cannot do an Aviv Search. I've been on the Aviv Search for over a decade now. Last year we did an Aviv Search, but I do it via, we can say, satellite. I had someone checking and reporting to me. This year, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe my partner will be able to do it, maybe not. I have no idea. I haven't been able to speak with him yet. So, unfortunately, probably won't be a report for me this year. Also, it will be very unethical for me to report anything if I can't physically go outside. And it's also problematic for me to comment on things that I'm seeing. But I do want to say a few words, a few very important words about this subject. I know there's a feud. I mean, every year there's a feud. I mean, with nothing new about that. But currently there's a feud going on between two people that I know one of them and the other one I know of. And I apologize if I'm looking away or something. It's very difficult for me to focus. But I do want to make a few points here. First of all, and I've been saying this for a very long time, statistically speaking, there is no such thing as Aviv during February. It's just an agricultural reality. There's no possible discussion about this. It is improbable. I don't want to say impossible, but it's improbable for Aviv to exist in February. I said this back in 2016, 2017, 2018. There was a group that came to Israel in February, towards the end of February, same situation like now. And they admitted, they said, I really admire this group for telling the truth. They admitted there was no Aviv when they came in February. But statistically speaking, from research that I've read all the way back to over 100 years ago, everyone admits that there's no such thing as a harvest before March. If you find Aviv in the beginning, I would say in the first 10 days of March, that's unusual. It has happened, apparently. I think back in 2006 it happened, but it's very rare. Normally, Aviv should be found on the second half of March. And this is why this whole February thing is just really, it doesn't work realistically. If you find a patch somewhere or a small field, it's still not convincing. I already changed my opinion several years ago. I don't think a patch or a small field is enough. It has to be something much more telling, something much bigger. The place that I heard that was found was somewhere just in the northern Jordan Valley. It's possible. I mean, we found Aviv, but only deep into March in that area. So it's just statistically impossible. Also, I saw some pictures. It's very difficult to judge things from pictures. I mean, if you're not physically there, it's very difficult to judge from pictures. The pictures that I saw are of pre-Aviv barley. I've been doing this long enough. I took a course in ancient agriculture during my bachelor's. I've been studying the calendar during my master's. I spent a lot of time working on this material. I dove into things that most people don't even know exist. Different books, and I recommend these books all the time, and people argue with me about this. And I say, look, this agriculture is semi-scientific. It has its own nature. It moves around all the time. But at the end of the day, agriculture is something you really need to understand to be able to actually understand the biblical calendar. I actually had someone get upset with me because I said you have to study agriculture and history and archaeology and so on. They said, well, why not just read the verses? The problem is the verses are very limited. I always wanted to say that the Tanakh contains everything, but I came to the realization it doesn't. We have only parts of the information, because the basic idea is that the reader is supposed to know certain things. The notion that you can just read and know is completely ridiculous. The idea that a child can read the Tanakh, it's a legal text, it doesn't work like that. You can never give, for example, a child can never pass the bar, for example, anywhere in the world, because it doesn't work that way. You have to have a certain understanding of nature, you have to have a certain understanding of reality. This is why judges were usually chosen, the elders were chosen, because elders are those who have experience. I mean, there's no other way. So I have to openly say, and you can disagree with me, but frankly, this is an absolute truth as far as I'm concerned. The Tanakh doesn't contain everything. I said this years ago. I have a podcast about oral Torah where I discuss this issue. Over 20 odd hours of discussion about this subject. Go to my website, HebrewInIsrael.net. It's all for free. You go in, listen to it. And the thing is that there's this very unprofessional notion regarding how to understand Torah. It's a complicated discussion. I'm not going to do it now here on a video. It's something that I came to the realization a couple of years ago. As I said, I grew up Orthodox, and I went through a lot of stages in my life. You have to understand something. I'm not a kid anymore. I've had people try to call me a kid. I'm almost 40. I think there's a point where you have to stop calling someone a child or a kid. But I've also been exposed to so many things that it's made me realize that none of this stuff is that simple. And what I've seen, the images, I want to go back straight to this subject. The images that I've seen, first of all, someone posted pictures of flowers. With all due respect, excuse me, I've been living here in the land my entire life. You can see flowers in November, okay, and December, okay? The term Aviv has nothing to do with the modern term Aviv that's in modern Hebrew. Aviv in modern Hebrew means spring. So people expect flowers and certain plants to grow and so on. No. Okay? Words undergo change throughout time, but the term Aviv relates to the state of grains. Grains and other plants and so on. Now, the images that I saw, besides the flowers, someone tried to do this whole flower thing 10 years ago. I don't know if that person's still doing any of it, but that's not what Aviv is. There are, however, in the Talmud, certain things that try to find Aviv, like if the roads have dried, which, by the way, we're expecting rain this week here in Israel, more rain, so I don't, that's not good if you're going to harvest. And temperatures are still very cold, which means things that flower can't flower because they're still gaining energy. I spoke with my father-in-law who's an arborist. He said, oh yeah, everything's still in winter stage. It's not even close. So when it comes to anything which is not grains, I'm going to continuously say we're still in winter. We're getting very close. I mean, January, February were kind of warm, but this doesn't take away from the fact that the nights were very cold and it's raining. So what can I say? This doesn't work. Now, regarding the pictures of grains. Now, pictures are very dangerous. So what I'm going to say here, you have to take this with a massive grain of salt. The images of the so-called Aviv that I saw are of grains which may only be in the worm stage. And based on what I've seen, the pictures that were posted, from my experience of years of working in the fields and years growing up in an agricultural area, I mean, the entire area I live in is agricultural. We have gigantic fields all around us. That's not Aviv. It's not even. They're harvesting this and saying, look, it's not even Aviv yet. So how can you even harvest it? So, just from seeing the images, the only thing I can say is it's not convincing. I mean, it would be better if I could inspect these things with my own eyes and test them and put them in my mouth. There's a whole starch test that you do that a lot of people don't want to do because they think you're supposed to do it, but you actually can do it. I learned that method from a person who actually grows barley for a living. So, there's a lot of hands-on experience. Reading a text and thinking you understand it, I mean, I'm about to complete an MA in biblical studies. I know as a fact you can't just read a text and suddenly you know everything. It just doesn't work that way. I want to try to keep this as short as I can. I know I'm a big talker. I talk a lot, but I also have to stop eventually. So right now, based on what I've seen, based on the state of the weather, based on what I know historically, based on what I know about plants, and based on the images I've seen, not even Aviv yet. And if you want to understand more about the whole thing with Aviv, what is Aviv? Well, Aviv is actually a very complicated subject. I'm still not convinced I know exactly what it means. No one really does. It's an agricultural term, and we've always known the agricultural terms are problematic. But the one thing I can tell you is I saw a picture, someone said Carmel. It was not Carmel. That I know for sure was not Carmel. Carmel is a much more mature state. As they say, Carmel betziklono. It's something that's edible. This thing was, you couldn't even chew it. I mean, you open up the pods and you won't find anything inside. Purple stage barley is not Aviv. That's actually well before Aviv. You sometimes can find a purple stem, maybe 1 or 2 grains which are close, but not even, it's probably not. I'm still doing research on the term Aviv. Right now I have to focus on my thesis, so it's going to take some time. But I found some interesting information. I can't share it now because it's not worth sharing if I don't fully understand it. But I recommend you go to HebrewInIsrael.net, look up the term Aviv. There are several articles there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe one article, but one very important podcast where I talk about the relationship between Leviticus 2 and Leviticus 23. Do you bring Aviv as the Omer or not? There's a lot to discuss there. I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding. I've said this already multiple times. But look, we're all interpreting, and this is the final thing I always say. We're all trying to interpret. Some of this are more professional, some of this are less professional. And I strongly believe that everyone's working on this to try to do what's right. The problem is, I think that there's a lot of mistakes in how people are doing this and how it's been understood. And therefore, I'm not really doing a blame game. I'm not here to argue with anyone. I am actually fed up of the sectarian thinking everyone has. If you don't agree with me, then whatever. Look, enough with the sects, okay? We're not in the Second Temple era anymore. We have the ability to be united. We can disagree and still be friends. The problem is I see a lot of people just turn into sects. If it's the what is it, the Zadok group, or the Melchizedek movement, or whatever. I mean, there's so many groups. I mean, sacred namers. I mean, none of these even relate to me because I'm Jewish. But I think that one of the problems we have here is everyone's trying to pull to their own direction. I don't know if it's really focused about God. I don't think the focus is Elohim. I think the focus is about people wanting to be special and so on. But that's another discussion. Maybe I need to talk about this in a podcast or something. But in any case, as far as I see it, as far as what I can see, but again, very limited. I don't think we're even close to Aviv. I think Aviv will show up when it starts warming up more, and we're getting there. I mean, I think the images prove that we're getting there, but I don't think we're there yet. So, just based on what I can see, that's my opinion. You can completely disagree with me. It's fine. I mean, I won't be offended or anything. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who's been praying for me, people who have been helping. If you are interested in helping Hebrew in Israel, I have a whole load of podcasts that I need to work on. But right now, I haven't worked all February because I'm sick. But if you want to help, you can go to HebrewInIsrael.net. Everything I do, you can go to the donate button there. Everything I do is free. I intend to always keep it free. And the main point is to study. Study, increase knowledge. I might change my opinion at some point and I'll update things. It happens. This is what happens in research. But again, thank you, everyone. I truly appreciate everyone who prayed. I was so overwhelmed how everyone kind of jumped in. So many people I didn't even know who they are, sending messages, praying for me. I mean, I was in tears. I was literally in tears. Anyhow, I want to wish everyone a healthy end of the winter, beginning of spring. Stay safe and be healthy. Just and take care of your family. Love your family. Love your friends. Just take care of yourself and do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord. Kol Tov.